Before we start this episode, I wanted to tell you that if you're looking for free dog training courses, you can take the Victoria Stilwell Academy's most popular free course, Building Your Dog's Confidence, right now by going to vsdogtrainingacademy.com. That's vsdogtrainingacademy.com. Okay, now on with the podcast. I love this man. He spoke at the Dog Behavior Conference in 2024, and he is wearing the most amazing shirt. For those of you who are listening on the podcast, you will not be able to see his shirt, but he's wearing the most fabulous shirt of roses, and it looks fabulous. It's Dr. Robert Hewings. If you know anything about Zen work, you will have heard about him. He is a retired dog handler. He served 30 years with the Metropolitan Police. He has a Bachelor of Science in Canine Training and Behavior, a Master's in Professional Practice, Police Dog Training, and a Doctorate of Professional Practice in Canine Scent Training. And he is the founder of College of Scent Dogs. He's also, if that's not enough, he's written 2 best-selling books, Scent Training for Every Dog and Tracking for Every Dog. But do you have time just to live normal life? I mean, well, first of all, welcome. I'm so glad you had the time to join us.
Thank you. Time. No. Because as I was watching the countdown for the podcast to start, I was adding halfway through chapter 6 of my 3rd book. So that'll be out kind of Christmas time, I should think. That's a man trailing extravaganza. That'll be exciting. But I'm I'm a visual learner, and if anybody is listening and not watching, picture in your mind your Nana's Sanderson print curtains. And that's what I'm not solely sitting in Sanderson print curtains, obviously. It's a shirt based on that kind of design. I just did chuckle when I think that I was asked to be camera ready. So here I am in my Sanderson print shirt.
And I love it. And I think you look amazing. I have to say, I think you do look amazing. And look, you are much beloved in the scent world. When you spoke at the conference, people loved you. They had a lot of questions. And so some of those questions, the way I'm going to ask, but in a way that incorporates, I think, more of that general knowledge that people would love to learn from you. So first of all, before we start, I always love guests to tell me about their journey and about how you got to where you got to. I think it's always interesting because everybody's different and everybody's journey is different. And it's also really fascinating for people who might want to pursue a career in what you're doing as a dog trainer or beyond. So how did you get to be where, first of all, I want to hear more about the police, but how do you get to be where you are now?
Cool. Let's go right back then. Let's go right back. I think a love of dogs has to be, it's the golden thread that runs through us all. There's no doubt about it. So this golden thread formulated with me, and I can remember my dad was military, and I can remember peeking out of the window one day when we lived at Brecon Beacons in South Wales, and I saw the Brecon Beacons mountain rescue team, and I was only like this. I'm showing you how tall I was. I was about 6 or 7 years old. Looking out the window and watching all these guys get out of Land Rovers in their bright red jackets. And I thought, wow, they're going to actually use, and there's a dog. And so I spoke to my dad, who's a soldier, and my dad said, yeah, that's a rescue dog. And they'll go searching in the mountains. They'll trudge around. And you know what? I've always wanted to be a search and rescue dog handler, but never made it. Didn't do it. I joined the military at 18. Proud enough to serve for the British Army. I was a member of the parachute regiment, and one day I had to do a career choice and make a choice. Was I going to stay on in the military for 20 odd years or do something else? Well, you know the story. I joined the police, and there aren't many mountains in London. That's a little secret I'll share with you. There's no mountains and there's nobody to rescue, but there are people to find. So I decided to make all my dreams come true and see if I could become a police dog handler, which I did. I was really lucky. I was a German Shepherd street dog handler and worked southeast London. Delightful area if you're a police dog handler. Not so good if you just live there. So I was lucky, I was busy. But all from my military career, all through my police career, I've had a love of training as well. I love training people, and the change, the exchange of knowledge, the chance to improve people around you, to coach people. And so I decided eventually after 15, nearly 17 years as an operational police dog handler on the streets of London, to apply and see the last 10 years of my service out as a full-time trainer. And how lucky was I getting a place at the Metropolitan Police Dog Training School at Keston, which was an honour in itself. And then it happened. This is the question that happens to everybody, isn't it? One day you ask, as a student, why? Why is this happening? Why? There's so many whys. I sound a bit like Tom Jones there, don't I? Why? Tom Jones, 1968. So, I asked my instructor why. And he gave me that answer that only a uniformed hierarchy could give you. If you want to know why, I suggest you go and find out, sunshine. And that was the answer. So I did. As a mature learner, which is difficult, so I must have been 43, 44, I decided to apply for university. Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Absolutely terrifying. I haven't got A-levels and things that say I'm an academic. I still don't think I am. I still think I just love my job and do what I do. So I applied to Bishop Burton, Bishop Burton College. Life-changing. And I kid you not, my 3 tutors, and I'll give them a shout out now if they're still about, Marianne Justice, Pauline Jackson, and Linda Taylor. It just rolls off. Those are the people that influence you, and you just remember them forever. Those are the people that did it for me. And those 3 instructors taught me, well, they introduced me to this like plastic thing that makes a clicking noise.
What's that?
The cheapest and most powerful piece of dog training equipment that you'll ever get your hands on. I loved it. I loved the learning. I loved the experience. And then from there on in, I did my master's degree and I studied adult learning in the police training environment, particularly police dog training. So I got my master's degree in professional practice. I rewrote a couple of training manuals for that degree. So just eked a little bit more positive reinforcement into the system.
Well done.
And then from there on in, I'm still at the bug. There's so much to learn. I still sit here in my study and learn. So after my master's degree, I had so many opportunities to study how can we go sort of beyond operant conditioning and help the search dog. How can we get the search dog to work with you rather than for you? How can we get that emotional link? And that's what I studied for my doctorate. The emotional link between odor and how can we create the emotional link. And if the dog searches for something he loves to search for, then the search is going to be better, stronger, quicker, faster. And also the need to work with you, as I've said before, and not for you. During my research, we started looking at the plasticity of neurons and how positive reinforcement in big block capital letters only helps those neurons develop more. So more positive reinforcement, more developed neurons, a better search dog. So even if outside the game of search that we decided to, I don't know, it's a behavior that I don't approve of. For argument's sake, I search, I find, I get my ball, and then I have to bring my ball back to dad because dad needs the ball, and it all gets a bit rough and ready. Well, think about the neurons in the brain at that particular time. They're all getting a bit scattered. Those olfactory neurons have no need to regenerate to find that substance, and you don't have such a good search dog. So that's what my doctorate is all about. That's my kind of journey shortened because I missed out all my stories and dangling on a bit of rope out of a helicopter and going down the sides of banks and getting involved in smashing through windows with my dog and doing all kinds of boys' own stuff that I can talk about. But it truly is. My journey is formed as a result of the love of dogs. And then, interestingly enough, I think I sat there one day in work and thought, what I'm going to do is I'll retire. My wife has got 3 years less service than me. So I retired, and Karen, my wife, who is an explosive search dog handler and has never gone off the street, she's always handled an explosive search dog. I thought what I'll do is I'll get a little hobby that may pay me a few shillings, and I'll do a little bit of training with the guys and girls out there, share some knowledge I don't know if it's out there or not. And I opened a tiny little company called the College of Scent Dogs.
That very little company.
It snowballed, really. Completely
Yes,
snowballed.
it has. Yes, it has.
And I think we've been lucky, really, in the fact that there's some. You can't do anything like this alone. Nobody is an island, and there's been some great people around me that have always supported me. And if we go back to talks I've been invited to for little conversations over a cup of tea, a great friend of mine, and Andy Hale.
Yes.
Just the support he said to me, you're a real positive reinforcement guy. You can take this forward. Steve Mann, you can take this forward, Rob. I've become really friendly with Nikki Tudge. Mm-hmm. All of those people around me.
The powerhouses.
Yeah. And they've supported me throughout my journey. And I've got an amazing driving force behind me, a 30-year experience explosive search dog handler. So if I step out of line, the joy of working with your wife. So Karen and I kept on going for about 2.5 years on my own, which was a struggle. And then Karen came on board. And I think our biggest blessing was getting our training authenticated, if you like, by a third party. Yeah. I think that is so important to have a third party look at what you actually do. So we had City and Guilds look at what we actually do. It cost an arm and a leg. I'm not going to kind of pull you away. It is very, very expensive. I'm sure we'll pay for it eventually. And they kind of guided me as well to say, look, if you're going to carry that red lion, if you're going to push these things forward and take that education forward, we have to see that you can teach. We have to see that what you're doing is the right thing. And in doing that, I sometimes look at our whole community and think that maybe that third-party accreditation, somebody looking over your shoulder, watching what you do, making sure that you're giving best value for the people who come on your courses, making sure that you can give some kind of acknowledgement for them attending your courses, has helped us tenfold. And it keeps me on my toes because I have to do professional development as well. So, yeah.
I think it's very important here in America. You cannot, certainly we are governed by the state of Georgia with our course, and everything has gone through with a fine tooth comb. You cannot have an educational institution, certainly here in the States, in person or online, without being governed by the state that you live in. And in order so that they have checks and balances and that they can, in a word, make sure that you are what you are, but also that you're giving value. And I think that is vital. As yes, they keep on top of you, and there's checks and balances, and it's can be sometimes annoying, but essential.
Absolutely. Those are the things that has kind of helped me start in the business. And it's sharing those qualifications, because my degree courses, they're not cheap. They were expensive. So I'm always at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what's the best way we can get people, particularly in scent dog training? I am a bit of a one-trick pony when it comes to dog training. I'm a scent guy. All the difficult stuff, I tend not to do. I will only do things that are easy. So dogs sniff, that's easy. Dogs run around between weaves and over seesaws and jumping things, that's difficult. I don't do that. And you can say, and luckily, this is not you can't see my podgy belly, and you'll see that I'm not an agility person. I'm not a very agile guy. I'm a rugby player, and I am not a very agile guy. So even if you wanted to start your training journey, there are lots of organizations out there that are not degree courses, yet they provide you with that kind of support that you need. And if anybody was to looking to start that kind of journey, look closely at the people who train you, see if they've got some kind of third-party assessment. I think that is really important.
Vitally
if
important.
They can support you over a period of time. Because although I came from a dog training environment, I came from a uniformed hierarchy. So think about it, folks. I was told what time to turn up to work, what to wear, what to do, what to drive, how to do what I did every day of my life since I was 18 and joined the military through my police service. Everybody told me what to do. And now I'm on my own. I've got a great team supporting me, but I never knew I'd have to be a website designer, a tax form filler outerer, a general dog's body, a cleaner, a maker of scent equipment, a writer of books, a writer of training programs. I didn't know. And you need that help. You need to turn to established organizations that will provide you with that help.
You really do. And I think, people see me and they see, the TV show, and she just, magically she's on the television and she does this and she does all these TV shows and everything. They don't see everything that goes on behind the scenes. And I'm not just talking about on the television show. I'm talking about, yes, because there's a lot of preparation there, but it's everything that we do as business owners, as people who run great schools, and it's everything we do to market that, to make sure that we are accountable and responsible for the information, make sure that we update information when we need to make sure that we are giving satisfaction to our students. There is so much they don't see that. They don't see that website building, as you said, and that cleaning and that, and the tough work that goes into developing a course that people can learn. They also don't see the hours and hours and hours that you sit and write. Books are not the easiest. And it's it's really tough. And now you're writing number 3.
And a little confession as well. I'm dyslexic.
Are you as well? Right.
So I struggle like hell. Yeah, I do. It takes me a long, long time to do it. But I'm beginning to sound a bit like a broken record, but without the support around me, I know I couldn't have done this. So I've got people to thank for that. Even moments like this, that we can sit down and have a little bit of a chat, swap some ideas. And I always see my chats as if we're having a tea and a big piece of cake and taking it easy. But at the minute, well, behind the scenes, maybe I am promoting my company. Maybe I am pushing my books. Maybe I am pushing my work. But
that's important, because at the end of the day, isn't it? We are passionate about dogs, and we are passionate about passing on information, and we are passionate about making dogs' lives better and people's lives better, and finding ways that we can really tap into the genius of these animals, which is what you're doing by using their amazing genius, their nose. And so before we go into that, because I do want to ask you about, like, how do you start? What do you do if you want to start teaching your dog this? What was your experience like training with the Met? We have this, and I've done some filming with the Met, but what was your experience training with them, and how different? Because I've seen it done both ways in the United States, spending 5 years with police here, canine units, and then seeing it just very briefly with the Met. What was your experience there?
My Met dog handling experience started, in the early 90s. So I was very much a German Shepherd guy. And the early 90s, Well, most people know the history of police dog training, that we're not the most lovey-doveyest of people. We can be a bit rough at times, no doubt about it. And that's the background I was brought up on. So as time went by, I have seen e-collars used. I've seen pinch collars used. I have used them myself, and we're getting results. There's no doubt about it. But the results were forced, and we can't force people to do it, so why should we force our dogs to do it? Then something revolutionary happened, and it changed, I would say, every serving dog handler's life overnight. All of us. Suddenly, in 1999, the e-collar and the pinch collar were banned for all police use in the UK. Gone, finished. And without a shadow of a doubt, when the police say, if you break a police order, you will lose your job. If you lose your job, you lose your mortgage, your livelihood. Chances are your family. That's a hell of a punishment. So we all took a great big step back and a big breathe and thought, wow, should we be nice? Should we all be nice people? And this was all a result of a poor shepherd, and I mentioned this in my doctorate. I won't tell you what force he was from, but the dog's name was Asa, and he was killed as a result of cruelty. He was killed by a police dog handler, the instructor and another helper. That's how hard police dog training was back then. And it had to change. There's no doubt about it. So it changed. And we were a lot of positive reinforcement kind of guys coming out of the closet, if you like. We all wanted to do it, but the peer pressure from the senior guys didn't really encourage you to do that. But when the commissioner and all of the Association of Chief Police Officers said, you will never use these things again, well, we couldn't. And it was as simple as that. So we had to think. So this is where I started thinking as a dog handler, and how can we do it? So I was behind the scenes studying, still looking at books, finding out the best way, realizing the stuff I was watching on TV from some very famous TV presenters, National Geographic Channel, wasn't the kind of way that we could do it, because other things were happening as well. And a fine example was when we had our first, we remember the Metropolitan Police is so big, we run our own breed program. And there are currently about 350 shepherds serving on the streets of London and about 85 to 90 search dogs on the streets of London at the moment. So we're a busy bunch of lads and lasses. My wife would go mad now for that. Go crazy. How could we do it? We were studying, we were watching, and this we brought in some Malleys, some Belgian Shepherd Malleys to help us with our learning journey. And we were still physically moulding our dogs into position. And I'm talking about probably early 2000s, and we had a litter of Malleys. And Belgian Shepherds don't really like to be pushed into position.
Nah, they do not.
Free-thinking dog, and they voice their opinion in the only way they know how, and we were bitten. We were bitten quite a lot. I'm glad I never had one at that particular time, and the 6 handlers who had those 6 new Malleys had to think of different things, and this is where it all progresses from. So that's the police training is now positive. There's some excellent trainers out there who a friend of mine from a different constabulary, a really strong trainer. Since I've retired, we've kind of lost our pathways, and I should reach out and contact him again. He's a lovely guy, a bloke called Guy Williams.
Love Guy Williams. Fantastic
dog trainer, knows what. So all of these people are pushing forward. So there's myself from the Met, Guy Williams from Devon and Cornwall. There's Dave Raymond from West
Midlands.
And all the West Mids police and London police, Devon and Cornwall police are all pushing forward to try and take positive reinforcement to the ultimate. Now, you know that there are other methods that haven't been mentioned, still the yank and crank, but all of that was beginning to stop. There were more conferences being held. There were more discussions being held. There were more interforce learning being held. So all of that was eventually being picked up. I pushed it forward. I was lucky enough to take influence from Bishop Burton and push it forward that way. I was at the dog school. I was at the Metropolitan Police Dog School. Now, the difference between police dog training, I would say, and any other type of pet dog training is you have to remember we have to work to a tight schedule. My search dog training, I would start off on day one with predominantly 6 dogs, 6 spaniels, 6 handlers, and they would have to be trained to either be explosive search dogs or drug search dogs, whatever we were working on at the time. Or if I was really lucky, 6 shepherds. I'm a little bit biased. 6 shepherds. And our time restraint is those dogs, the shepherds, have to be trained and licensed as working police dogs by the end of the 3.5 months. They start off here, they finish here, and that's what you have to do, instructor. The drugs dogs, you've got 12 weeks. The explosive search dogs, you've got 12 weeks. So that time constraint demands you to get into a groove and do the methods you know best and do them time and time and time again. However, in the pet dog market, that dog is with you for all of your life or all of their lives. As you know from our last conference, when we had our last chat, I had just lost my rescue dog. But you still have them from a long, long period of time. So the difference is with my police dog training, it's fast. It needs to reach a standard. It needs to reach an elite standard by a certain time. And it's quick. Pet dog training, the dogs aren't bred for purpose. The handlers aren't bred for purpose because, surprisingly enough, all us coppers are all more or less the same. We're from the same background. We're from the same environment. We're from the same learning establishments. We're all the same. The dogs are all the same. That's easy. Easy peasy police dog training. I'm almost advertising a book there. Easy peasy.
Yes, you are. Thank you, Steve Man.
Rah, rah. Yeah, police dog training, easy. Pet dog training, completely different. Those dogs are all from different backgrounds. All the people are from different backgrounds. But one thing they have got is the same kind of sense of smell. I come back to my easy choice. Training scent work is easy. And my little nuance that I got from my doctorate is if we can create an emotional link with that scent that I did in the police dog world, the pet dog world will benefit as much. So we're playing with emotions. I'll give you a little example, and gives me an opportunity to say, I've just come back from teaching in Australia. So spending some time in Australia, I've been supervising a PhD with Adelaide University and looking into scent and emotions from my PhD to pass on to somebody else. And picture the scene. I'm sitting outside the training rooms and there's somebody playing with their Cocker Spaniel. I'm just watching this thing go on. Watching this little brown Cocker Spaniel, and you know the moment in time where that Cocker Spaniel is looking at Mum and saying, Mum, you are the most wonderful person ever in the world. I love you. I love you because you've got my ball in your hand and you're going to throw it. She threw the ball. Cocker Spaniel went chasing after it, brought it back, dropped the ball at her feet, and it happened again. Mum, I love you. You're the most important person in the world. I know you're going to throw that ball for me because you're the most important person. And I was watching this and thinking, if I can capture that emotion with odour, I'm onto a winner. So she came to one side and I thought, right, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try this. I had some of my scent training kit there. I had 2 bowls, small bowls, one solid bowl, one that fits inside with holes in. We put some odour on some cotton pad, popped it in the solid bowl, put the bowl with the holes in on top. Went back outside, threw the ball. Mum, the dog came running back. I'm loving you, Mum. This is the best thing ever. Have a little treat out of this bowl that also smells of the odour. As we know, odour is one of the most important things in our lives. My assistance dog guys, the PTSD guys, and please let me talk about that later, but my PTSD guys, their emotions are completely the flip side, aren't they? You can imagine smelling burning diesel, explosive,
Yes.
cordite. That's horrific. But if we compare the smell of Napier gun oil, truffle oil, anything to that lovely emotion that Cocker Spaniel was having at that particular time, Mum, I love you, and in the background there's this odour, the next time they smell that odour, no, we'll never be able to speak to the dog. However, the next time they speak to the odour, we're all dog handlers, we all know that emotion will come straight to the fore. And that's what we did in the police. I didn't have as much time as I wanted to research that, so it's continued. It's continued through the College of Scent Dogs, and it's continuing with Adelaide University. I think that's probably, and I'm going to be a little bit biased, probably the most revolutionary thing that's happened to scent work since the 1970s with Styrock and all that crowd talking about how odour fits in lock and key method and all that stuff that's changed over the years. But now I think if we can link scent, and anybody can do it with a pet dog, because the emotion from the pet dog to the pet dog guardian is strong all the time. Positive reinforcement, I feel good. Out for a walk with my mum, call Fido back, come here. Oh, mum's got something exciting, little treat in your bowls with the odour in. And now I'm associating that behaviour out with my mum, out with my dad, enjoying life, I'm with my friends, this is great, have a sniff of this gun oil, eat these treats out of this gun oil bowl, and suddenly we've created that emotional link. And I think the difference between my police dog training and my pet dog training is my pet dog training is a lot more emotional. It's not as clear-cut, time-limited as I was. Now I can talk to my students more. I can wander around and say it's all about the feel-good factor. And I wish I'd have thought of this, but this is not me. I've stolen this. It's all about the looking forward to, isn't it? The Christmas emotion. That's what I've stolen. And I know Pansep and Lucy Bivin talk about all the archaeology of the mind and the seeking system. And then somebody went and I wish I'd have thought of it. Somebody went and called it the Christmas emotion. So we can see that it's a lot more of an emotional journey. Scent work is super, super emotional. And it's always looking forward to. So to kind of answer your question, go all the way back to the police time. Police, structured, time limited. Get this done, guys. We've got to license you at the end of this date. We've got to do this, this, and this, and this. We tend to do the same method over and over again. Pet dog training, you've got to think on your feet. Dogs are different. Emotional stability is important. Some dogs are reactive, so we can work on emotions with that. People are different. And we need to spend more time just encouraging that togetherness before we go on and do training. So I think that togetherness is what it's all about. And you take great lessons from kind of Sarah Fisher's free work. I wish I'd have thought of that.
Genius.
That's genius. So and Sarah knows, Sarah and I are friends, and she knows that I've stolen some of her work in that.
Oh, she encourages it. She says, take it, take it, take it.
She does. And so that's what we do. The beginning of and I would do it if I was teaching agility, off-leash work, anything, good manners. I would get my dogs into the hall. I would set up a free work so they can come into the hall and think, oh, hold on. This is
all right. This is fun.
I like this. It just gives me a chance to sniff around emotions, get used to the new church hall, get used to the new environment. Because if we go to a strange area, if we go to a strange classroom, we want to know things like, is it safe? Is there some tea to be drunk? Are there some posh biscuits to be eaten? Is there notepads? Are the chairs comfortable? Who am I sitting next to? What's going on? And we don't go straight into a lesson. And I think the same with our dogs. I think every dog should have the opportunity to go into that church hall for the first time and guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about with Sarah Fisher's free work, research, get on her courses and do what Sarah does best. It is blooming brilliant. And so you can make all this course up and your clients and their dogs, lesson 1, day 1, a little bit of free work. Now you're not going to take it as rigidly as Sarah does it because she's an expert, but just get the dogs in the groove, and then they'll come into the church hall next time and I think, I've been here before. This is nice. Now I'm ready to learn. I hope I answered your question there.
Yes, you have. You've answered it beautifully, absolutely beautifully. I'm here with Robert Hewings and we're talking everything scent. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this.
Are you a dog trainer looking to take your knowledge and skills to the highest level? Or maybe you're a dog guardian interested in figuring out whether your love of dogs can translate into more of a career than a hobby? Or are you already working in the pet industry but recognize that you need to fill some gaps when it comes to how to manage dog behavior so that you can better serve your existing clients? No matter where you are on your journey, the Victoria Stilwell Academy has courses that can help you get to where you want to go. From our free Building Your Dog's Confidence starter course to the powerful Fundamentals of Dog Training and Behavior course, all the way up to our flagship Professional Dog Trainer course, we have options for every skill level and budget. All you have to do is be passionate about giving dogs the best lives possible. All of our courses are available online anywhere around the world 24/7. No gimmicky sales tactics where you need to act within a certain window to enroll. My amazing team at the Victoria Stilwell Academy understands that we need to be ready to serve you whenever the time is right for you to make the jump. Whether that means dipping your toes into our free courses or realizing your fullest professional dog training dream by enrolling in the dog trainer course. So, join the thousands of dog geeks like you that are a part of our amazing and supportive VSA family today. We have Academy specialists available to talk with you and figure out how we can help you reach your dog training goals, or you can enroll in a starter course for free right now. The Victoria Stilwell Academy. It's the future of dog training.
I'm here with Dr. Robert Hewings and we're talking. I mean, it's just fascinating what you're talking about, that difference between training for the Met when you were training these police dogs to odor, and now that pet dogs, that what you're doing for pet dogs and for pet parents as well is so vital, that connection between that emotions and odor and emotions, scent and emotions. If somebody has never, ever done this thing before, ever, yet they want to start working, not a trainer, but they want to just a regular person wants to do scent work with their dog. What do they do? Where do you start?
I would say the first thing I would do is something as simple as tasty treat searches. We talk about scatter feeding. We talk about scattering little tasty treats on the floor. That kicks in the seeking system. Now, the seeking system is a chain of events that happen in your head or in the dog's brain that kind of spark some really nice, inquisitive things off. As I said earlier on, it's like the Christmas emotion. We all like going shopping. I do. I am a man and I like going shopping. So there, it's out there. I like going shopping. I will always remember when I was doing my doctorate, and there was one little teeny weeny tab open on my Google search, and that was the Triumph motorcycle page. And I've always promised myself, and I got 7. It took me 7 years to do my doctorate, and I had 7 years to look forward to, hopefully when I pass, buying myself a Triumph motorcycle. So you can see that anticipation. So hold that anticipation thought in your mind And now go outside to the garden with your dog and put some treats out. Make some easy to find and make some a little bit more difficult. Put them around. And when your dog starts sniffing, and it's a really interesting thing, that sniffity sniffing and busying himself and doing what dogs do best, sniffing, and it's all exciting. And you can just watch, and you can take a step back and watch your dog being a dog. And they'll search around your garden for treats, and they will love it. Cast your mind back to that anticipation, me waiting for my motorcycle. Dogs are searching and looking for the next treat, searching and looking for the next treat. So they have that Christmas emotion going through their mind all the time. So they're enjoying search. Now, if you only wanted to take it that far and just search for treats, brilliant. Done. Great fun. However, I guarantee you'll get a little bit more curious and think,
yes, you will.
I wonder if I can hide his toy. Same kind of game. Hold a toy. If we're listening on podcast, folks, I'm pretending I have a toy in my hand. Hold a toy, just toss it so the dog can't see it, let the dog go, searches and finds its toy. Out in a field, throws, search and find, search and find, search and find. Wonderful. You're going to take another step forward. I know you are. I know that's what you're going to do. So if you decide to do that, you have to think of an odour. Now, I would encourage you to look at the competitions going on all around the UK and think to yourself, I quite fancy doing those, meeting other people, talking about dogs, competing. I don't know. That's not kind of my thing. However, it'll give you an opportunity to meet other people, talk about your dogs, look at your training. So go to a scent class. And what the scent person will do, or buy some books. I know an author that's written a book called Scent Work Training for Every Dog, and it's blooming good. It's written by some slightly overweight guy who wears bright shirts and rides a Triumph motorcycle. Me. So you need an odour. And I would suggest Napier gun oil. And we've talked about it earlier on. You need to create that emotional link before we do anything. Some people call it Pavlov's breakfast, but the research I did leading up to there, and it was based on work by Nathaniel Hall and the team from Texas University about conditioning your dog over odour before you begin training. I took that more forward with my doctorate and discovered emotions. Little treat, 2 little bowls, one with holes, one without holes, and you can put your odour in there so that the bowl with the holes is on top of your odour. Be with your dog. Give them some loving, put some treats. Try squeezy cheese. Mm-hmm. Because we're not kind of classically conditioning it. Because what behaviour are we conditioning? Is it nose in the pot? Is it freeze? Is it, what are we conditioning? So I just shove squeezy cheese, lots of squeezy cheese, and sit with your dog. It was a little bit different with my rescue dog because he was a resource guarder and he was a bit grumpy, but we eventually got there. Sit with your dog and he licks the cheese out and just be with your dog. And now that wonderful feeling the dog is getting from the enjoyment, because licking something is relaxing. Sarah Fisher's work, free work, Licking something is relaxing. It is important for the dogs. They're at home with you. Maybe they're on your lap. Maybe they're on your settee, on your sofa. Maybe you've got a Newfoundland dog that sits higher than you like and sits on your lap and slurps a cheese from your face. One of our PTSD assistance dogs is a Newfoundland dog that I'll talk about him later. But that moment between you and your dog is conditioning that scent to be great. Great fun. Next thing you do is you have to work out how I can get my dog to indicate, just hold his nose over that scent. So you can put that scent in an appropriate container, a little pot with a couple of holes in. You don't have to buy expensive stuff. I sell expensive stuff, but ignore my website. Ignore that. That's money, and don't worry about it. A little pot with some holes in. Sniff, click, reward. Sniff, click, reward. Sniff, click, reward. Sniff, click, reward. Sniff, hold, click, reward. Sniff, hold, click, reward. Sniff, hold, click, reward. It's easy for me to sit here and talk about 300 peck. 1 second, click reward. 1, 2, click reward. 1, 2, 3, click reward. Isn't that easy talking about it? Who wants to do that with a working Cocker Spaniel? And all that's going to do is teach you how to count to 3 really, really quickly. 1, 2, 3, click reward.
Yes.
Because that's what working Cockers do for us.
Yes.
3. That's 3 seconds, Rob. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 seconds, Rob. It's not. But whoever wrote 300 peck didn't have a working cocker. So that's what we're looking for. Getting a little bit of an indication. Not too much. We're not going to play this to death because it's all about enjoyment, and doing the same thing over and over and over and over again gets a bit boring. Next thing, 2 or maybe 3. 3 is better than 2. 3 is a real choice. 2 is just a guess. It's like working with maths. But anyway, stay with me. 3 little containers. Dog sniffs 1, 2. Well, that's where your odor is. Click reward. Play that game that you see in the fairs where people all take your money off you, muddle them all, jumble them all up, search again. So we're playing the choice game. So we've gone from emotional link, getting used to the sniff, capturing the sniff, playing the choice game, and then we can go on from there. Once they've got the choice game, why don't you get one of your pots and squish it in between the cushions of your settee and start again. And then move it round the settee and then move it round your room. Before you know where you are, you'll have a little search dog. But I would strongly recommend joining your local search club, whoever it is. There's some great organisations in the UK. There's the National Nosework Association. There's Scentwork UK. There are loads about. And I would like to take this opportunity to say that the College of Scent Dogs run competitions, but we don't. What we do run, as this is exciting, we run murder mystery weekends. Gives you a chance to dress up. Gives you a chance to come to our place. Our place is a steam engine museum. We've got steam engines everywhere. We've got venue, it's huge. It's 1,500 acres of steam engines and enclosed training spaces and outside training spaces. It's wonderful. So where there's steam, there has to be a steampunk murder mystery. And you'll see me wearing my steampunk top hat and my steampunk outfit, and I'll be the detective that runs your search, and you'll come to us for a couple of days. And for example, our last search was who killed Violet Palmer? And unfortunately, she was pushed off the top of a train. She was trying to run away from the bad guys. This is where 30 years of police dog handling experience comes to the front. Because you search and you find statements. You search and you find murder weapons. You search and you find clues. And then you go back to your team. And yes, I do give you all cork boards with red ribbon.
So how amazing.
Pictures up with your search. And when your dog finds stuff, you can solve the crime. So let's go all the way back from scatter feeding in your garden, joining your local club, getting used to scent work, getting in the groove, and hopefully one day I'll see you on a murder mystery weekend and we can work out who killed Violet Palmer.
How? That's genius. That is genius. I have never heard of that before, but it is absolute genius. And we need to clone you here in the United States, and because yes, there's lots of scent working organizations here. There's Nosework. There's a whole load of organizations here that you can join. But something that is themed like that is fun, and creating an environment that is not just it's that emotional response from that dog as well, and that anticipation, but for people as well. How frigging fabulous is that?
It is fantastic. It gives me an opportunity to wear my old Victorian suit and strut around like a Victorian gentleman from the steampunk days. Not that I'm biased, not that I have other hobbies, but everybody has to have a hobby. But we're all involved, the whole team. I've got a great team behind me. So we have Karen, my wife. We have Ben, who's a wonderful dog trainer himself. We've brought him into the fold because he's a pet dog trainer, and we needed. I'm very, very aware of entrenched communities. I'm very aware of all my training becoming police-like. I'm very aware that Karen is a police officer, search dog handler, very policey training. So we needed to break the mold. Otherwise, it would have all been police, police, police. And I'm going to put my neck out there. It's not all about operational people. It's about creating a good team where I have got pet dog trainers, police dog trainers. We've got a conservation search dog trainer. So we've got a really nice team of different scent dog trainers who all chip in for the college. They all like dressing up in steampunk gear. We all push it forward. We've all got a bit of an imagination. Training is only as good as your imagination, and maybe my imagination is a bit crazy. But I don't like. Well, I'm not one for competitions. It's not my thing. Somebody following you behind with a clipboard, and then you make a mistake, and then you find yourself thinking, "Ah." I genuinely believe it's all about that excitement and the fun that you can have with your dog. And I'm gonna say it. It's about the excitement and fun you can have with your dog, rather than ribbons.
Yes. I agree with that. I mean, then there's some people who want to earn the ribbons, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not one of those. I want to have fun, and I want to learn, and I want to have a better bond with my dog. Could you were talking about? We're going to pivot slightly to about the PTSD dogs. Can you tell me about that?
This is another little bit of research that I've been following since and working on it since 2017, and it's working. So we've got some wonderful results all over the world. Let me just take you back to 2016 when I retired. I volunteered to work for an assistance dog training company and found that, here we go again, police dog training is very, very different to assistance dog training. I was lucky enough to receive a bursary award to go to university in California to study assistance dog training. It was unbelievable. It's fantastic. Whilst I was there, I went to Menlo Park Veterans Hospital and watched the Warrior Canine Connection training their PTSD dogs. As I've said, I'm ex-military, so this meant a lot to me. And both my sons are serving soldiers. My eldest son has done tours of Afghanistan, so I understand the stresses and strains that these guys are under all the time. So I went to Menlo Park Hospital and wandering around, all the facilities were fantastic. And there was a bed in the corner, a camp bed with some blankets on. And I asked the trainer, Zach, his name was, and I asked Zach, and I said to Zach, well, what's the bed in the corner for? And he said, oh, that's for our nightmare training. I immediately thought of the difficulties I had as a German Shepherd handler. I used to work with firearms teams. It was real gung-ho stuff, and I'm very, very proud I did it. But sometimes we would have to put our dogs into buildings where there could be armed suspects, and a dog would have to search the building, come back to me, and I would tell the firearms team, everything's clear, lads, let's go and do the job. Let's go in there. Please trust my dog. And when you walk down that corridor, there's nobody hiding that's going to shoot you through a door or shoot you around the corner. So the guys had a lot of trust in my dog. So did I. But our problem came with finding people who were absolutely super, super asleep through drink and drugs, because it was a very, very different response from the dog. The dog would go into a bedroom sometimes and kind of, well, he's not scared of me. He's not hiding in a cupboard. Everything's different. So we had to work. We had a couple of incidents where it required, you don't want an armed guy going into a bedroom where somebody is liable to jump up and go, what the hell are you doing in my bedroom? And then maybe you do a shooting that you shouldn't do. Yeah. Yeah. So this was serious stuff. And we had to, as shepherd dog trainers, train the dogs to find somebody who is asleep. Now, in the police, you're not allowed to have a skinful of beer and a whole load of drugs and go to sleep for a training. They just won't let you. That just won't happen. Police officers don't do that. It ain't going to happen. So we had to find a volunteer to go to sleep. Now, if you know there's going to be like 10 to 12 rather big, stocky guys and a German Shepherd coming to look for you in about an hour, and the German Shepherd's going to be very, very close to you, and you're going to be lying down, and the German Shepherd's going to bark at you aggressively, I don't think you're going to go to sleep, really. You're not going to do it.
No.
And so nobody did. So we simply trained our dogs to jump on the bed and hopefully wake somebody up. And if there was a bedroom, we'd get that written into the training protocol. So I realized how difficult it is to get the correct amount of cues with somebody who's asleep. Going back to Zach, who said this is the area for nightmare training where somebody lies on this camp bed. It's not their bed. They're covered up with blankets, not their blankets. It's the middle of the day. We're doing dog training. It's not their bedroom. It's not their house. So this is where a false cue comes in. It's confusing. It's confusing to the dog. It's confusing to the handler and to the person. And the person then started fidgeting around in bed, and the dog would kiss him in the face, and the person would be cueing the dog to kiss him in the face and saying, and one of them even said nightmare. Oh, I'm having a nightmare. But he's not asleep. So I kind of stuck my oar in probably where it didn't belong. And I spoke to Zach and I said, this is too many false cues. This is not happening. And he said, well, what do you expect me to do? I said, let's find out what the people do. And this is where my research started. Those veterans were kind enough to allow me to interview their partners. And I can remember one partner saying, I can tell exactly when he's having a nightmare because he goes as rigid as a board, doesn't move, and sweats. And I can remember when she said that. And I spoke to the veteran and I said to him, what do you do when you have a nightmare? And he said to me, I don't know, I'm asleep. So you've got all these different cues going on. And the £110,000 answer was, he sweats. If I can get the odour right, I'm a search dog trainer. I sniff, I carry out a behaviour, and I don't even have to search because it's mum or dad who's just there in bed. We did it. There's a long story, but now I work with Bravehound. We have people in Australia using this method. A lot of people, Pets for Vets in America, the biggest veteran training charity in America. They're brilliant. Big shout out. Bravehound, big shout out in the UK. And we're doing this protocol. They wear T-shirts to bed. And
right.
Something's
I was going to
changed.
say, how do you get that scent? Do you have the partner or are they wearing something? So this is great. You're answering my questions. Right.
We trip off down to the cheap shops and buy a whole load of cheap T-shirts, all the same. Every night they wear a T-shirt to bed, and when they've had their nightmare, they record, they cut the T-shirt up. There's a whole load of protocol to go through, but we can then get the odor from the T-shirt and do the same, almost the same training protocol. Choice of 3 things. I sniff, I find the right one. In the meantime, Dad's been sitting on the sofa, or Mum's been sitting on the sofa practicing their alert, or they might lie down, and we do a kiss generally. So we teach a dog on cue, kiss, and then basically it's a cue transfer. Old cue, kiss, new cue, sniff, boom, 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 da-da-da-da-dun. Sounds so easy. It is. That's why I do it. Kiss, kiss, wake up. And this is the exciting bit. Our veterans have reported that they start to do the nightmare. It's really strange. Some of them have said, I even remember getting into the helicopter. I even remember getting into the car and driving towards such and such a village. Or one of our clients driving through the streets of Northern Ireland. And I know it's coming. And then next thing, I get a little, and I'm awake. And my dog's looking at me saying, you all right, Dad? And this sums it up. One of our veterans, a wonderful man, he's a gentleman. he said to me, how can you still be upset and frightened when you're woken up by a £100 Newfoundland who is staring you straight in the face saying, hello, Dad, how are you? And he's a great big brown Newfoundland. Dad he's gone very, very anti-military, got a big beard, long hair. He's a big guy. And surprisingly enough, now many of you who are Harry Potter fans will probably already think, what would you call a gigantic brown dog with long hair? Yes, he is Hagrid. Hagrid wakes up the handler, and that's wonderful. And it's not just Hagrid. There's even Jerry. Jerry is a very small brown cocker spaniel who jumps on the bed and does the same. And Dad says, you have this guy saying, hello, Dad, come on, wake up. But all that came about from that kind of training. We had a dip. Time for some honesty. We had a big dip because I didn't get it right. And the dip was all the dogs knew that there was something wrong. They all knew there was something wrong. They knew there was something wrong with Mum or Dad, and they were a little bit standoffish, a little bit reluctant to get involved with Mum and Dad because they knew there was something wrong. And I didn't, when I first started this program off, emotionally link the scent of the PTSD nightmare for the dog. We just did it as a police training exercise. Now, all over the world, everybody is emotionally linking that scent. So they get the sample, put it in the cups, go out for a walk, sniff the scent. Look, sniff it, but I'm okay, son. Everything's all right. And they keep on doing that. And we do it for ages. And now we can almost change. So we condition an emotional response, don't we? We've conditioned that emotional response that, although it was frightening, now it's fun and Mum or Dad are okay. And now when I smell that smell, I know I'm going to get a treat and I know it's going to be good. Rather than before, it was always a little bit, I'm not sure. And my research did take a dip. So once I started doing the emotional links, my research has gone back up again, and it's gone beyond me. Now I have other people doing those lessons and reporting back to me that it's successful all over the world. It worked with epilepsy alert as well. I've trained a few epilepsy alert dogs that give about 30 to 35 minutes warning. I personally haven't trained any diabetic alert dogs. However, I know it's going on.
Yes, it
is. I've got a few emails to say that's very, very successful.
Yes, it is. I work with a company here in Georgia that we do diabetics. Diabetic alert dogs and seizure alert.
And it comes back to the emotions, doesn't it? It comes back to that, creating that emotional link. It's kind of working for our guys. Our biggest success story is sitting now. If anybody knows a bridge in Glasgow called Erskine Bridge, Bravehound, a Scottish charity, by the way. I travelled to Glasgow for my training, and I can remember sitting on a bench one day with one of the veterans, and we were looking up at Erskine Bridge, and he said, "You know what?" He said, "You see that bridge up there?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I look at that bridge every day, and then I pat my dog." And I thought, that's a story. And he said, "I'll tell you why, Rob. Because of this dog and the fact that I don't have to do half a bottle of Jack Daniels before I go to sleep every night, because now I trust the dog to wake me up if I have a nightmare and I'm no longer frightened. I look at that bridge and admire the architecture and pat my dog. A couple of years ago, I used to look at that bridge and think, what's the best way I could climb over the safety barrier and throw myself to my death?" And that's it, isn't it? That's kind of it. There's nothing else that we could ask those dogs to do. Nothing. One of our veterans is a lovely, lovely poem, but the final line is, "If you break your heart, Dad, and you can no longer function, I'm here and you can borrow mine." I'm more than just a dog. And I read that out once at an award ceremony, and I didn't make it to the end. Didn't make it. The tough paratrooper, retired police officer, ex-paratrooper with a chest full of medals, couldn't finish off the poem. So yeah, it's just what it's all about, really. Well, I could write a million books about scent work, and I could do a bazillion City and Guilds awards, and well done, everybody. But it's that moment in time when Hagrid is licking you in the face, when Jerry is jumping on your lap, when Lynn is stopping people from doing what they've threatened to do. It's just worth it. It really is just worth it. And that's kind of why I do it, really. And why I keep on plugging on and trying to find those kind of good ways. That's my favorite bit.
It's shocking that, not shocking, understandable that people have to suffer. They serve their country and then they're suffering. And even if they didn't serve their country and PTSD is coming from another source.
Absolutely. You don't have to be
that they are experiencing. Yeah.
You don't have to be military.
No.
You're just a victim. And there's,
right.
I'm not going to dwell on it too much because I've seen some nasty things in my service. And just the togetherness with your dog, it is amazing. Just something as simple as, I spoke to not a military person, somebody who was a victim, and she cannot look at men in the face, and it completely does her in. But I was chatting away to her, and she said, one of the main things that the dog does for me is it makes people kneel down to pat my dog. And we don't have eye contact. And I can talk to people. I can go out in the street and talk to people because I know I'm not going to have eye contact. And I said, well, we can't. You can't train for that. That's just a point of life that handler or that guardian and her dog, it is just, she gets out just to walk her dog, and little tiny little nuances like that with any kind of tale of stories between why the dogs are so important. And I'd have statues of dogs all over the country. But we don't just need Greyfriars, Bobby. We need a giant Hagrid. We need a little Jerry somewhere.
We do.
So people can see these little brass statues and think, what is that little Cocker Spaniel sitting there looking so proud? I can see why. Why is that huge Newfoundland? And I just picture it in my mind. His head would all be shiny brass because so many people have been patting him. But why? Because he did this. They'll never get a reward. They'll get a handful of treats, but they're going to give their life to their guardians, and they've changed their lives. So that's why it's so important to me.
The work you're doing is truly life-changing, and I thank God for you that you are out there doing it. Now, if people are interested, they want to take your course, they want to read your books, do you have a central hub they can go to where they can find more information?
Absolutely. We've got the College of Scent Dogs website. All one word, the College of Scent Dogs, and we'll pop up. Keep your eye on social. Here we go. We're going back to the difficult things of starting work for yourself, and that's trying to promote yourself.
God.
It's so blooming difficult.
God, it is. Dear.
I'm from an environment that we're not very good at blowing our own trumpets as coppers.
I know it. You're not.
If things are going well, we just accept it. If things are going wrong, we get into trouble. So we just accept it. And nobody says how good we are. And I should imagine, we've mentioned a friend of mine from before, Guy Williams, and all the West Mids police and all the London police, they don't stand up and say, we're the greatest in the world. They just don't. They just get on with what they do. So my most difficult thing is publicity. Yes,
got to get out there on social.
I know.
But you do have other social platforms.
I know. Publicity is difficult. So we do have a website, thecollegeofscentdogs.com. I am on Facebook. Just call by and say hello. I may answer, I may not. I'm not the greatest Facebooky person, but I'm trying to learn, folks. I'm trying to learn. We do have an Instagram thingammy. Oh, my age is coming out now. We do have an Instagram thingammy that somebody else does, and things happen. So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook.
Okay, good.
And so just look us up. If not, find us somewhere. Ask Victoria, and she'll divert it.
You bet you. And listen to this podcast. And obviously, with this podcast, we always have information about our speakers. So you'll be able to find information there as well. So I would definitely encourage you to read Robert's books, and also, if you can, take some courses, because it is going to change, not only sort of give you great education, but change the relationship you have with your dog, and you're going to have fun too. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. It has been absolutely fascinating, and thank you too for your service to your country, and for your sons as well, because we really appreciate, for those of us who are fortunate enough to live in the free world, as free as it possibly can be, thank you for that. We really appreciate it. And yeah, come back again, Robert.
Oh, of course I will. I'll have a different shirt, I promise you.
All right, then, please. No, I mean, don't. I love it, but I want to see more. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this incredible podcast. We really appreciate your support, because we love our listeners, and you guys are from all over the world, and we really appreciate your time. And I hope that you've learned a lot of amazing stuff today. You all take care of yourselves. I will see you on another podcast. Thank you, everybody, and take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Victoria Stilwell's Positively podcast. For Victoria's online dog training courses, more information, and helpful dog training tips, visit Victoria's official website at positively.com. Get connected on Facebook, Instagram, and other social media as Victoria Stilwell, and follow her on Twitter at Victoria S. Learn to become a professional dog trainer with the Victoria Stilwell Academy at vsdogtrainingacademy.com. And be sure to tune in next time as Victoria helps you and your dog live your best life together, positively.